Blackburn
Enterprises.
Thank you for coming to my channel. You could have been anywhere else, but you're here with me. Back with another breakdown for The Last Dance, episode 3. Okay, so this episode pretty much starts off with MJ. He's pretty much super frustrated. Scott Pip, he's pretty much injured because he was like, F y'all don't want to pay me. So he just set out that part and he wanted to get the surgery later on. And this episode is all about Dennis Rodman. He pretty much at the beginning of the season, he's pretty much effing off. And because of that, the Bulls are losing like the majority of their games. What do you think that says about Scottie Pippen being out and Dennis Rodman BSing and them losing games?
I don't think Dennis Rodman BS'd in the beginning. I think that he was comfortable in the role that he established while Pippen was playing. But when Pippen was gone, he didn't understand that he needed to step up and create another role for Michael and them to have a different type of atmosphere.
Okay. What do you think, Jeff?
Man, honestly, it's I kind of piggyback on what she said because Dennis wasn't exactly BSing, but like he kind of had to find his role. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, Pip's the man behind MJ. How can I be the man behind MJ to not replace Pip, but fill that void that he had?
What do you think, Mo?
I would say I really don't understand what his role, other than like a rebound man, was honestly. Just from the outside in, because I'd never watched these games.
Okay,
so
understandable.
I ain't even gonna make something up for you.
All right, so it looks like he eventually got. Well, it's good you say that because going back to his college years, where he went to Southeastern Oklahoma State, is where he started understanding his skills and understanding what it was that he was good at. And that's when he started to learn that he pretty much was good at defense and good at rebounding. So what do y'all think about understanding what your role is, be it basketball, be it whatever sport is, and being able to focus in on whatever that skill is?
I feel that it makes you a great team player, overall. And then two, like you're able to find yourself and see who your identity is in the role as a team sport goes on. So, I mean, for me, I think that's a great thing, especially when you're able to find that and then just like be a beast at it.
Right.
I think that's great.
What do you think?
Man, I mean, you look at Rodman in college, man. Rodman was a ground up guy, you know what I mean? So
started from
Rodman
the bottom.
was, I mean, like literally, like, and they were like, hey, man, I mean, literally, hey, 5-time champion, like it's a heck of a comeback. But man, the thing about Rodman that probably a lot of people don't know is, man, they really just like, hey, let's put you on the team, man, and see what you can do.
Right.
And even when you think in terms of like people talk about MJ coming back from that injury and when you really look at, man, from 1-on-1 to 2-on-2 to 3-on-3 to 4-on-4 to 5-on-5,
right.
Rodman was like, okay, I'm going to start here. So Rodman was like the guy that was just on the practice squad, like filling in, to, man, now I got a bench role.
Right.
To, man, now, okay, I'm in the starting 5 in practice.
Right.
To, okay, man, now they let me start games.
Right.
To, okay, this is what I can do. Let me fully showcase my talent. So, man, you talk about Pip and you talk about Jordan, but, man, Rodman was a ground up type guy. You know what I mean? Like, man, and he seized the opportunity that was provided to him.
Right. Right. What do you think about him and the work that he put in during those college years to know who he was?
Well, I feel like that shaped his career, man, because he always just found a role in his spot where he needed to be.
Right.
Even for the Pistons or with the Bulls, they both were successful teams, and he can say he was a part of that.
Right.
He was a big role of really the Bulls, especially.
5-time champion.
Speaking of roles, something that the episode 3 touches on is the coaches that Dennis Rodman had, and it touched on Chuck Daly and his ability to be able to understand Dennis Rodman and who he was. And I think also later on they showed that Phil Jackson was also a coach that understands Dennis Rodman. So how important do you think it is, and especially you as a coach, coming from that perspective on understanding a player and the different personalities that they have?
I think it's very important because not every person is the same. Even if it's in sports or in everyday life. Like your personality is your actual personality, is your imprint on this world, and it's not everybody's. Like, it's not the same from everybody. So to be able to cater to a person's personality to get the overall goal is important, because you give them a little bit and they give you a little bit. So it's a give and take type of relationship.
Right. What do you think about the coaches?
Man, I mean, you got to look at it, man. Who his coach was, you know what I mean, and even after that being his initial coach, Phil, man, a lot of times people talk about, man, the coaches make the player makes the coach. Man, they fit like hand in hand. It was like a ball and a glove. That was just a different ilk, a different era where it wasn't any back talk and, man,
It was
hey,
definitely respect.
Right.
yeah, and like, man, this is what I want you to do. Let's get out here. Let's try this. And it really wasn't trial and error, because, man, it was a trial that turned into him building and becoming the player that he was. But he was guided by that coach that showed him, like, hey, this is the path that you probably need to take. His work ethic stepped up. And, man, he expounded upon that and became the legend, the 5-time champ that he is today.
Right. Mo, what you think about coaches? I know you done had some experiences with coaches.
I feel like a coach is just as important as that main player, man. Because they're the one that keeps the team in control through ups, downs, anything. Like, you have to have that person that's going to take a man and say, no, you're going to do this time, and you're going to go this way.
Right.
If you don't, these are the options, man. And look at my track record. He just beat the Bulls in the playoffs. Like, why wouldn't you listen to somebody that just stopped Jordan?
Right.
True.
And speaking of coaches and speaking on how you stop Jordan, one of the ways that they did that was by the nickname that they got, which was what was the nickname?
Troublemaker.
Yeah, they called him
Troublemaker.
They called him the Troublemaker, and he pretty much built that, that aura or that personality when he was in Detroit, and all of them, they were the bad boys, and they didn't play.
You had Mahorn, and Rodman, Sally, Isaiah Thomas,
and the
Joe
guys.
Dumars, though.
All right.
Hey, man.
So overall, they didn't take any mess. So we talked about it a little bit earlier, and talking about how they had that bad boy personality, and if you was gonna come and you was gonna try to score, they was gonna make you pay. So what do you think about that mentality? Because one thing, and I guess this is where we're focusing, one thing I often hear a lot of times is, and it's from our generation more so, is that we could never play back then. That's one thing that definitely the sport was a whole lot more physical. Yeah. So what do you think about people that often say that like today's athletes couldn't play back then?
Okay, so after talking, I will say that yes, I think that if the generation now was back then, yeah, they would adapt to that, because that's just the everyday life. But I will add to the mentality that is now is the fact that, like, the rules have changed. You're catering more to your golden goats, your golden childs and all this like that, to where now you can't get a little physical with somebody and just get the frustration, because playing a sport, you get frustrated. Exactly. It doesn't matter who it is, especially when you have people that talk a lot of mess to you, and you're frustrated, and you're just like, that stuff builds up. So you do want to do a little something to somebody. But now you can't do that. So, like, you have to be able to do it differently. But then you could get a little pissed off in here and there, and then play the game, you know.
What do you think about the physicality of back then compared to now?
I'm probably not the person to ask about this, man.
Well, we're asking you.
reason being is because, man, it's a different build today. You know what I mean? You've got not only modern technology, but man, you've got diets. You've got plans. You've got preparation. You've got, man, let's abide by this to actually build on our strength. So it's like, man, those guys were physical, but they were physical to the aspect of, man, I'm gonna abuse you.
Right.
But when you look at those players, man, a lot of them were built like toothpicks. I mean, like honestly, even when you look at Jordan, as great as he was, man, Jordan's build wasn't just, man, I'm this stocky, bulky guy.
Yeah, before then, during that time, he definitely was small.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at guys of this day and age, man, they're following a plan, a pedigree. And it's like, man, as the great Dave Chappelle would say, man, modern problems require modern solutions.
Right.
And I mean, you would adapt if that's your everyday ilk, if this is your era, if this is your cloth,
Right.
and you're dedicated to the game, and they had to build for it.
Right.
They went about it back then, but they didn't even have to build for it. So to me, it's kind of like one of those things where we kind of get caught in the aspect of, this was my era, man, this was my ilk,
I agree.
versus actually looking at like, man, my man right here is 6'7", 250. Your guy right here was 6'2", 207.
Right.
Like, man, okay, they're going head up. Who do you think is honestly going to win? So,
Right.
you know, it's just, it's kind of, some people sometimes blow smoke versus looking at, man, you're going to adapt based on what you're provided.
Right.
You put two animals in a cage and they're stuck with this environment. Hey, they're gonna make the most of what they got, and they're gonna adapt to what's being provided to them.
Right. What do you think?
I would say this might cause a little controversy. But,
Oh, let's let controversy.
I like
but
that, I
honestly,
like that.
I feel like there's players in this league that can play back in the day. Because really their skill sets nowadays are way far advanced. All the thing they say with Jordan to stop him is how bad does he want it really. And a lot of these players do want it just as bad.
Yeah.
Just they have the skill now where if you want to foul, I'm going to take a step back. I'm not going to go to that hole every time. I'm going to pull up.
I agree. That's a very
So
controversial
I feel like a lot of them can. But then again, the how bad you want it comes back in. There's a lot of soft players now that will get eaten alive, honestly. I don't want to put names out, but it's a lot out here that's suspect, man. I'm going to just say that.